Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tackling a silent career killer that's literally sweeping through the tech industry right now, especially if you're a junior developer just starting out. We're going to break down something that looks incredibly productive on the surface, but is actually a massive trap. A trap that senior developers can see coming from a mile away. We're really going to dig into the difference between the illusion of productivity and true technical mastery. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get started. I want you to picture this scenario. It's 3 a.m., production is completely down, your boss is calling you in an absolute panic, and thousands of users cannot access the application. Your heart is pounding out of your chest. But there's one massive, terrifying problem staring right back at you from your monitor. You didn't actually write the code that just broke. An AI did. And that right there is the exact moment you realize you've been building your early career on quicksand. You're staring at error logs that might as well be written in an alien language, all because you skipped the foundational step of actually understanding the system you were hired to build. $12,000. That's the amount of money a company was losing per minute during a real-world Black Friday production meltdown caused by AI-generated code. Per minute. I mean, when code breaks at scale, the financial bleeding is immediate, and it is catastrophic. This isn't just a philosophical debate, it's a business survival issue. If you're the developer who shipped that code, you're on the hook to stop that bleeding. But think about it. How can you possibly isolate a system bottleneck or fix a critical bug when you don't even understand the architecture you just deployed? So let's get into section 1. What exactly is vibe coding, and why is it an illusion of productivity? If you're a junior developer using AI to write most of your code, I need you to listen closely here. Vibe coding is basically when you build off vibes instead of genuine understanding. You know the drill. You prompt an AI, you copy the code, it runs, the tests magically pass, and you ship it. You get that immediate dopamine hit from those little green squares on GitHub, and you just move on. You feel like a 10x developer because, hey, you just shipped a feature in 15 minutes that should have taken 2 hours. But here is a super simple rubric for assessing if you truly understand your own code. Ask yourself, if I told you to delete that code right now and rewrite it from scratch without the AI, or explain the specific trade-offs of line 42 to me, could you do it? If the answer is no, you're vibe coding. You have absolutely no idea how your app actually works. Let's look at how this actually manifests in reality. Going back to that Black Friday crash, the one losing $12,000 a minute, the culprit behind the whole thing? A search feature built by a developer heavily leaning on AI. It looked like a beautiful autocomplete, right? But the AI had generated code that fired a database query on every single keystroke. Somebody types running shoes, and bam, that's 12 separate queries hammering the production database. There was no debounce limit, no caching, no rate limiting, nothing. With 10 test users, it ran flawlessly. But with 50,000 Black Friday shoppers, instant death. You see, the developer didn't make a bad architectural decision. They never really made a decision at all. They just lacked the mental model to realize these fundamental safeguards were totally missing. Which brings us to section 2, the fake speed trap, and why you might be measuring the entirely wrong timeline. At the end of the day, what actually matters is the time from an idea to stable, maintainable, debuggable production code. Vibe coding gives you this illusion of fake speed. Sure, the AI writes your code in 10 minutes, and that feels amazing, but then you spend 90 minutes debugging edge cases the AI didn't even consider. Then maybe another hour refactoring because it doesn't fit your overall architecture. And then, the worst part, hours at 3 a.m. fixing production. Now contrast that with real speed. A senior developer takes an hour to write that exact same feature manually, but with full understanding. When a bug appears, they fix it in 5 minutes flat. Why? Because they built a complete mental model of the system in their head while they were writing it. This perfectly lines up with a famous quote from computer science legend Brian Kernighan. He said, "Debugging is twice as hard as writing the code in the first place." Think about the profound implications of that for a second. If you write code at the absolute limit of your human understanding, you literally aren't smart enough to debug it. Now apply that logic to vibe coding. If an AI writes code that is way beyond your current comprehension, there's no way you can debug it. You're just practicing prompt engineering at that point, not problem solving. And because of that, your actual engineering skills are rapidly atrophying. Let's move on to section 3, why production actually breaks, or rather, the real cost of ignorance. These right here are the common production failure patterns that usually stem directly from a lack of deep system understanding. When you vibe code, you end up shipping React components without really grasping the component lifecycle. You build APIs without recognizing race conditions in your payment processing. You have this total blindness to memory leaks or missing TTL and cache invalidation strategies. You experience connection pooling failures that bring everything down. If you're a junior developer, consider this your study plan for the next month. Stop prompting for a bit and go master core concepts. Learn memory management, caching strategies, and concurrency. Because when the senior dev logs in at 3 a.m., they don't just blankly stare at the error. They read the stack trace, they check the memory metrics, and they trace that timeout directly back to the database connection pool. They can isolate the bottleneck because they have pattern recognition. And honestly, AI cannot give you that intuition. Only sitting down and wrestling with hard problems can.
So, how do the pros do it? Let's look at Section 4, the Senior Developer Approach, and their Strategic AI Playbook.
There is a very clear boundary here. It's not that senior developers avoid AI. They absolutely use it, but they use it strategically. They'll use it for boilerplate that they already deeply understand. We're talking test setups, config files, repetitive patterns they've already coded 100 times. Or they use it for exploration, like asking the AI to mock up 3 different architectural approaches just so they can evaluate the pros and cons. But there are areas where they draw a hard line in the sand. They do not use AI for core business logic. They never use it for critical execution paths, and they definitely, absolutely never use it for security-related code. You have to understand the problem first, design the solution yourself, and ensure you can confidently explain every single line. Let's dive into Section 5, rebuilding without AI and forging those crucial mental models. I want to give you some practical exercises to build mental models without relying on AI. Consider this a bit of a tough love challenge from a mentor. Step 1, take one feature you recently built using AI tools. Step 2, rebuild it entirely from scratch. Step 3, and this is the hard part, use absolutely zero AI, none at all. You get the official documentation and your own brain. That's it. Step 4, force yourself to understand the trade-offs of every single line you write. Now look, it's going to be incredibly slow. It's going to be super frustrating. But that friction, that is exactly where actual learning happens. That is how you build the mental map that will literally save your career when the servers catch fire. So we finally arrive at an uncomfortable truth, and honestly, a choice you have to make today. Path 1 is keeping up the vibe coding, shipping features super fast, building no real foundational skills, hitting a massive career ceiling, and just watching as AI advances and eventually makes you easily replaceable. Or there's path 2, getting slower now so you can get much faster later, developing the deep, fundamental skills that make you an irreplaceable senior engineer while using AI merely as an amplifier to execute your own brilliant mental models. Don't be the developer who wakes up in 2 years realizing AI made them obsolete. Be the developer who uses it to become truly unstoppable. Think about it. Thanks for joining me as we unpack this explainer today, and I'll see you in the next one.